The most notorious pirates. François L'Olonnais. François L'Olonnais was one of the most brutal pirates of all time. He slaughtered all the prisoners he captured on ships and even drank their blood. Once, during a battle against the Spaniards, he captured a Spanish soldier, tore out his heart, ate it, and then burned his body and scattered the ashes into the sea. For pleasure, he would burn prisoners alive or cut them to pieces while they were still breathing. Francois mostly fought against the Spanish, and because of his reputation, they would run for their lives whenever they heard his name. He was extremely cruel, but also a very successful pirate. Once he raided a town in Venezuela, stole $200,000 and escaped. But why was Francois such a merciless and greedy pirate? Let me explain. Francois was born in France and grew up in a very poor family. He was sent to the Caribbean to work as a slave. For years, he worked there without pay and suffered constant torture. One day, he heard that Caribbean pirates were making a lot of money, so he decided to abandon farming and become a pirate instead. In short, Francois became so barbaric and ruthless because of the torture and suffering he had endured. Anyway, one day this savage pirate was sailing at sea when his ship's engine broke down and it ran aground. Francois and his crew tried to push the ship back into the water, but it wouldn't move. After exhausting themselves, they gave up. A while later, they began to feel hungry, so Francois and his crew set out to find food on the island where they were stranded. But soon, one of the crew members was struck by an arrow. Francois and the rest tried to flee, but they were all shot down by arrows, killed, and captured by cannibals, who made them their dinner that night. William Kidd. William Kidd actually hated pirates and was a pirate hunter. One day he set out to sea with his ship to hunt pirates, but he was captured and taken prisoners by them. Since William was an excellent captain, the pirates wanted him to become one of their own. To avoid being killed, William accepted their offer and began a life of piracy. He started attacking French ships and seizing all their treasures. After a while, he began attacking Indian ships, ordering the killing of all prisoners on board and stealing the riches. However, William soon developed a feeling that he would be caught, so he decided to bury the treasures he had stolen on a deserted island near New Jersey. After hiding the treasure, he returned to his ship and continued his pirating. But just then, he was captured. He was taken to London where he was hanged on the gallows. His dead body was covered in tar and left hanging as a warning to others. Even though treasure hunters have searched for William's buried fortune for centuries, it has never been found. To this day, no one knows exactly where the treasure lies. Anne Bonny. Anne Bonny was an Irish woman whose greatest dream was to marry a pirate. She fell in love with a sailor named James Bonny and decided to marry him. James was a calm and gentle man, but Anne wanted someone stronger and more ambitious in her life. Because of that, she stopped loving James and decided to divorce him. After the divorce, she chose to work with the famous pirate Calico Jack. However, there was one condition to join Jack's crew. She had to be a man. So Anne disguised herself as a man and successfully joined his crew. During this time, she became a very skilled and successful pirate. But her success didn't last long because her true identity as a woman was discovered. Jack went furious when he found out and handed Anne over to the Notorious before escaping with his crew. Anne was sentenced to death, but managed to escape cleverly. After that, she was finally free and never returned to the seas again. Black Bart. Black Bart's real name was Bartholomew Roberts. He was a tall and handsome man who worked as an ordinary sailor on a merchant ship. One day, however, the ship he worked on was captured by Howell Davis and his pirate crew. Black Bart killed Howell Davis and took command of the ship himself. Impressed by this bravery, the pirates asked him to become their new captain. Black Bart accepted and thus began his life as a pirate captain. During his career, he captured over 400 ships along the coast of the Caribbean and Africa. Blackbeard often targeted slave ships and would sell the captured slaves back to their owners in exchange for gold. One day, he captured another slave ship and demanded a large ransom of gold. But when the owners of the ship refused to pay, Blackbeard went into a rage. He set fire to the ship with 80 slaves still on board and ordered his men to catch any who tried to escape, cutting off their ears as punishment. After these brutal acts, the British Navy tracked him down. Blackbeard and his crew were cornered by Notorious, but they refused to surrender and engaged in a fierce battle. Many pirates were killed in the fight, yet Blackbeard never gave up. In the end, he was shot in the throat by a British sniper and died instantly. The remaining 52 members of his crew who survived were captured and later hanged.